The manufacturer claims this new state-of-the-art super toy racer works as well on land as on water. We'll check out the Tyco Typhoon right here on... Toy commercials use all the showbiz pizzazz they can to make the product look fabulous so the youngsters will want it. Parents are critical of toy commercial glitz because many playthings are so expensive, and some of the toys do not live up to the advertised claims. We've challenged several toy commercials, including this Tyco remote-controlled race car. We not only raced it down a deserted mountain road, but we sent it out over a 40-foot cliff to check it out. It passed the challenge. The Bandai Super Hyper Race Car commercial claimed its little racer could win against a Ferrari Testarossa. We put them both together in a fight-back fight to the finish. The Ferrari won, but only by 1/10 of a second. Now, you can all get excited because you can own a racer that goes on land and water.
Unleash the Typhoon, the only 9.6 radio-controlled hovercraft in the world. The Typhoon hovercraft blasts over the ground on a cushion of air. You command the Typhoon by radio control. 3 powerful turbo motors for straight-line speed. Do a 360. Now, Typhoon hits the water. Incredible. The RC that runs on land and water. Typhoon, you've got the turbo power to handle anything. Typhoon, the only 9.6 radio-controlled hovercraft in the world. And only Tyco makes it.
Here's a commercial that we not only can challenge, but have some fun with. We took our own Tyco Typhoon and went straight for the first puddle to see if it would zoom over water, the way it did on the commercial. It's not zooming. It's struggling to get past our first water hazard. It finally pulled itself out. We decided to give it another chance, to put it through a real test. Uh-oh, this is asking too much. The Tyco Typhoon hovercraft passed the challenge. It did go both on land and water, and it was a lot of fun to play with. But there are some things you should be aware of before you go out and buy one of these jewels. The toy itself costs about $90. The battery pack, which by the way is not included, costs another $25. The maximum use per 4-hour charge is about 7 to 10 minutes, and then the battery goes kaput. You have to recharge it. Well, we went through 5 fully charged battery packs in the 2 hours it took us to tape our challenge. So you can see how expensive a toy like this could end up being. And I've got to tell you, it really didn't go as fast either on land or on the water as it did on the commercial.
It can hold your fingerprints, it can hold your signature, it can hold all kinds of personal information so that you are the only person who can use that card.
R-E-L-I-E-F-E.
If you're the sort of person who has trouble keeping your checking or charge account straight, the answer to your dilemma might be just on the horizon. Microchip technology has now made it possible to implant tiny computers into what looks like ordinary credit cards, cards that are actually an extension of your personal banking or corporate security system. Visa International's new Super Smart Card has a wide variety of functions. Buried inside the card are microprocessor and memory chips. They not only allow you to access your checking, savings, or credit account, it also contains an updated record of all your purchases and transactions, and it calculates your current balance. It can be used as a debit or charge card, an automatic teller machine card, or even to make vending machine purchases and calls from a payphone. AT&T has taken a slightly different approach to smart card technology, aimed at helping corporate customers develop sophisticated systems for limiting access to security areas and sensitive computer data.
You can use this card as a key that can allow you entry into a room or entry into a computer database. In addition to your image, it can hold your fingerprints, it can hold your signature, it can hold all kinds of personal information so that you are the only person who can use that card. We've worked with the government for some military applications for identification cards. We have worked with medical institutions where coronary patients who have to come in for up to 60 treatments were able to have their medical information on their smart card so that the medical personnel could actually get information on that person from that card, and that person, in addition to having to go through their treatment, didn't have to go through a long interview process having to give information about previous treatments. So there are all kinds of applications that we might start seeing in the next 5 years.
So when will we have banking smart cards in our wallets? Well, it could be some time yet. Such cards are being used on a limited basis in Europe and have been test marketed in this country, but it's really up to the banks to decide when they want to make smart cards available to their customers. And that's an expensive commitment. The cards themselves cost $20 to $30 a piece just to manufacture. There's also the cost of modifying the bank's existing computer and automatic teller machine systems to accommodate the new cards. Finally, retail merchants have to be equipped and trained to deal with this type of transaction. Now, I'm sure it will all happen eventually, but exactly how long that will take is still anybody's guess. Visa International and AT&T provided us with some of the video used in the Smart Card report. And speaking of smart, how tuned in are you to commercial slogans? If I said, "How do you spell relief?" could you finish the commercial message?
R-E-L-I-E-F.
R-E-L-E-F. Relief.
T-U-M-S.
R-O-L-L-A-I-D-S.
R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
I don't think I've seen it in Ohio.
I've never used it. I've never needed it. R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
R-E-R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
That's what all the commercials say. That's where I picked it up from. You know, Tommy Lasorda and all that.
So I remember Roger Staubach mostly.
I can see the carpenters getting acid indigestion.
They're trying to imitate, I guess, gastric juices. I spell relief, R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
R-E-L-I-E-F-E.
R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Rolaids.
You've heard it so often, I guess you just see it and think it's good.
that jingles, sticks to your mind.
They stick to your head. It's like Velcro and lint.
Rolaids.
Rolaids. Tastes like a mint, works like a miracle.
Well, they weren't the best spellers in the world, but just about everybody we questioned knew the product was Rolaids. What a relief. A classic example of how a clever phrase can trigger a commercial product to come to mind. Now let's go from commercial consciousness to diets. We are so diet conscious that we look more and more to food packaging for help. The American Heart Association's idea was to test certain foods to determine their fat, cholesterol, and salt content. Those which met the association's standards would be awarded its seal of approval. If the Heart Guide plan were only that simple, there wouldn't have been a controversy. The problem was the Heart Association planned to charge food processors a fee to have their products tested, plus an annual fee to use the Heart Guide seal of approval. In order to qualify for the Heart Guide seal, companies would have to pay the Heart Association between $10,000 and $40,000 per product for testing, as well as an annual promotional and educational fee of $5,000 to $600,000, depending on each company's sales of that product. Critics of the program say those fees could keep some products from obtaining Heart Association approval, even though their products may be just as healthful as those bearing the Heart Guide seal. Rita Story is a dietary consultant to the National Food Processors Association.
I feel that this program does put some smaller companies at a disadvantage. There certainly are many other products that are very appropriate in a heart-healthy way of eating, but they will not have the seal of approval. So what does that suggest to the consumer? We kind of get the good food, bad food connotation when that's not the case, because only those companies that spend the money to become part of this program and indeed have products that meet the criteria will benefit from this.
No one argues that shoppers should have more information than they're getting now on food packaging.
I don't know what the ingredient names mean.
You don't know whether it's good for you or bad for you.
I'm particularly concerned about the oils.
But will the Heart Association's proposal create clarity or confusion in food labeling?
I think given what the American Heart Association is doing at this time certainly is confusing and sending out a mixed message to our consumers. Let's all get together at that level, the federal level, and come out with a common labeling program, labeling format, and health claim format. So everyone buys into it, and the message then is uniform to the consumer.
The Heart Association denied that it was engaging in what the FDA called regulation for profit. The association insisted it was only trying to break even on the Heart Guide program, and in the process educate Americans about what's good for their hearts. And here comes our horror file. It has been refueled with your letters of confusing, amusing labels, ads, and signs. It smells like diesel oil. Anyway, our first letter comes from Michael Ruth, who lives in Shillington, Pennsylvania. The enclosed ad appeared in the Reading Eagle Times, Michael writes. Most people, being bargain shoppers, I'm sure that there was a line waiting to purchase this trimmer with brains for nothing? What do you think, David? Michael, it looks like the trimmer might have had brains, but the copywriter might have been a little careless with their thought process. And the next letter comes from Mr. and Mrs. Terrence Dallas, who live in Tujunga, California. Check this ad for cemetery lots and crypts. Palm Springs skyline, 35-foot deck, front mirrored windows, fireplace with a view. This makes the hereafter look pretty good, right? Well, it certainly isn't a dump, as this final resting place seems to be, according to Betty Davidson, who writes from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. We thought it rather funny when we saw this sign at the entrance of a cemetery. What can I say? What can I say? Well, obviously, Betty, this sign is for some other place. At least, I hope so. And speaking of dumps, Mary Garwood, who lives in Bayport, Michigan, writes, if you believe signs like this, $400 fine for throwing trash on the highway, it would seem that someone owes a lot of money. What a mess! To make her point, Mary actually took 2 pictures of this dump for us. I really appreciate it when you, our viewers, take pictures so that we can see what these confusing and amusing signs actually look like. And if we use the material you send us on our show, I'll send you a Fight Back t-shirt and a copy of my book, The Business of Business. With all the credit cards being offered, it is getting to be almost impossible to tell which is the best deal. Which one offers you credit with the least amount of interest? But how many people ever take the time to check it out? There is now a Federal Reserve rule that requires banks, retail stores, credit card companies, anyone who issues a consumer credit card to tell you up front what that card is going to cost you. And that includes annual interest rates, membership fees, transaction fees, late payment penalties, and grace periods which apply to your account. The idea behind the rule was to force credit card companies to spell out clearly, fully, and honestly just how much it will cost prospective cardholders to charge goods and services using their credit cards. In theory, savvy consumers will compare rates and choose the least expensive card. That will create competition among the credit card companies, and they will have to lower their fees and interest rates to attract new customers. But in practice, most cardholders don't seem to care how much interest they're paying or what their annual fees are.
Approximately a third, 33%, pay off their card monthly. Therefore, they pay no interest charges on their purchases. The rest of the customers know what they're paying, and they consider it a convenience and a credit line that they use. And it's been our experience that they fully are aware of all the conditions of that credit card. I don't believe that consumers will jump from bank to bank because of disclosure law, because consumers really like to stay with one institution unless something rather egregious happens to their account.
As for driving down interest rates and fees, bankers say that's just wishful thinking.
We do not think disclosure will have any effect on interest rates of bank cards. We're trying to be fully competitive now, and with all the administrative costs, et cetera, I think that for the time being at least, we've seen interest rates as low as they're going to get on credit cards.
I am in favor of full disclosure, and I think this is probably a good rule. But if cardholders refuse to shop around for the best possible terms, then I don't believe this rule is going to significantly lower credit card interest rates and fees. California and New York have had similar credit disclosure laws on the books for some time now, and they haven't driven down interest rates in those states. And as long as consumers don't care how much they're paying for credit, there's no reason to believe that things are going to change.
I think they used to be like that, but I think times are changing a lot, where money is getting tight all the way around, and people are going to shop around for the lowest interest rates.
Well, if I can pay a cheaper rate, I would like to do that. And then you have to consider the membership fees and everything.
I even got a call the other day from a company that said, would you like the gold card? And they started telling me all these, exciting things about the card. And I stopped them and I said, how much is it? And they said, $36. I said, forget it.
My monthly purchases, I generally try to pay off immediately to avoid the interest.
Yeah, I always pay up to date because the interest rates are very high, and my roommate never keeps up with his, and he's constantly getting bled dry by these people.
Right now I'm paying 19.8% interest, and I'm planning on looking around and getting a lower rate.
We switched over to the current card about 2 years ago, and at the time it was a lower rate, but right now I have no idea what the rate is.
You work very hard for your money, and just as if you would be aware of going into a store and getting a sale, you want to be able to pay less money on a monthly basis as well.
So most people probably believe they're all around 19%, so they're not so much aware to shop around for a better rate.
I guess most people got a charge out of charge, and they just don't care.
And another edition of Fight Back comes to a close. And as I always say, you have to stay aware and informed and fight back. And don't let anyone rip you off. If you have something you'd like us to check out or a commercial you'd like challenged, send it to Fight Back, Burbank, California 91523. And if we use your letter on the show, we'll send you a Fight Back t-shirt and a copy of my book, The Business of Business.